Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, how are you today? I hope we are all in good condition and happy too. For the first, the honorable to my lecturer, Ms. Nurul Afjatena, and the other audience I'm proud of. Let me introduce myself. My name is Nabila Nurfadillah. I'm a third semester student in English education at Latansa Masiro Campus. So here I will give presentation and explanation about research article written by Hassan Barber with the title is Determinant of Student Perceived Learning Outcomes and Satisfaction in Online Learning During the Pandemic COVID-19. And before, I need your attention for few moments. Okay, for the first, let's start with an abstract. Pandemic COVID-19 has paralyzed various world systems, especially for in the educational world. So, the purpose of the study is to find out what the determinants that affect learning outcomes are the COVID-19 pandemic. And the data were collected by students in two countries, namely Indian and South Korean. And the results of this study found which factors affect student learning satisfaction, including interaction in the classroom, and then student motivation, course structure, instructor knowledge and facilitation, and the last is student perceived learning outcome and student satisfaction. And the research also helpful teacher or educationist to identify what factors affect students' learning outcome in pandemic COVID-19 now. Okay, that's the little bit explanation about abstract and what the purpose in this study. For the second, I will move to introduction. When we hear about online learning, what do we think? Internet or online learning media in cell phone or computer, or we can learn anywhere and anytime? Yes, that's right. Online learning is not the same as the face-to-face learning. There are no physical peer learners, and it's their freedom of time and space. Online learning can make learning flexible, and one alternative if we can't attend face-to-face learning. And online learning does give us many benefits, but one other side, online learning also has its own weakness. For example, many students are not ready and understanding with online learning and make learning decline, and also the lack of students' motivation causes many students to finally drop out. And the researchers also conducted the study to find out whether online learning is better than face-to-face learning. There is some opinion according to several researchers. According to Bernard Borokowski, Smith, Tamim, and Abrami, 2014 states that online learning by students is better than face-to-face learning. But according to Adams, Randall, and Traustadotir, 2015 states that online learning is less successful than face-to-face learning. Okay, for the next, I will give you explanation about literature review. In the literature review, there are 5 factors that affect the result of student learning satisfaction, namely interaction, student motivation, course structure, instructor knowledge and facilitation, and the last is student perceived learning. Okay, I will explain this one by one. The first is interaction. Interaction is one of the important factors in achieving student learning satisfaction. In this online learning, interaction is divided into two. First is synchronous tools that use video conferencing, audio channels, and online chat rooms. And the second is asynchronous tool that use email and discussion boards. Okay, the second is student motivation. Student motivation is also one important factor in achieving student learning outcomes. Because motivation is one of the internal force in students to achieve their learning goals. With motivation, students will be ready to take part in learning whatever the conditions. But if the motivation in student is absent or low, this can increase despair in themselves and ultimately increase the cause of dropping out. Okay, the next is the course structure. The course structure is planning, designing, teaching materials to be taught. This is, of course, an important factor. What is the course structure in online learning the same as face-to-face learning? The next is instructor knowledge and facilitation. The role of an instructor in an online environment is one of the important factors to be able to encourage, guide, and ask students for critical thinking and get the goals. And for the last is student perceived learning. Of all factors above will success in achieving good learning outcomes if the lessons felt by students can achieve their learning satisfaction. That's the explanation of what the important factors can achieve student learning outcomes satisfaction. Okay, we will go into the method used in this research article. The survey was conducted by collecting from 100 undergraduate students from various institutions and study programs in South Korean and Indian. And the data was collected through convenient sampling and students who were taking online courses during the pandemic COVID-19. And from a survey that has been conducted on students in those two countries, an analysis and a result was found of this research study. The first is survey conducted from two countries with a total of 100 students, of which 50% from South Korean and 50% from Indian. Okay, the next is the result. The result of respondents from age. The results of this study can be seen in the diagram. That respondent age 18 to 22 are higher than respondent age 22 to 26. This is because many students feel the impact of online learning at the age of 18 to 22. And the third is the result of the respondents from gender. And as shown in this diagram, it turns out that there are more male respondents than female respondents. Okay, and the next is the experience of students in online learning. As shown in the diagram, 49% of students do not have much experience in online learning. 27% of students answered that they have no experience in online learning. And 24% of students answered enough, which proves that many students from both countries still lack experience in online learning. And the last one is the result of the hypothesis, as shown in the diagram, that interaction has a high bond with online classroom learning, which is then followed by student motivation. the learning felt by students also has a positive effect on student satisfaction in online classes. And why is interaction being the highest score that influence student learning outcomes? According to Moore 2014, Sebastianelli, Swift and Tamimi 2015, Al-Qurasi 2019, and Ku et al. 2013, that the interaction of teachers and students is an important factor in achieving student learning satisfaction. Because with effective interaction, it will be easier for teacher to be able to transfer knowledge well, and students can also receive it well too. As we can see in this image, do you see a difference? In the picture on the right is the online learning process, and the left is face-to-face learning. Interaction in online learning tends to be rigid and less expressive and emotional in contrast to face-to-face learning, which can interaction more real. And the next is student motivation. Student motivation, which is also an important factor in the success of student learning, because this online environment keeps people away from campus and peers, which makes motivation a more important determinant of student learning outcomes and satisfaction. Motivation is needed to achieve a student success goal. Students who choose motivation to learn will be ready to be able to export their ideas and be ready to learn in any condition. And for the last, instead of online learning like this, teachers are required to be able to adapt learning to current condition. The course structure should be modified to adapt in online learning, and what student fit is also an important factor for them to be able to achieve success in learning. Okay, I have finished my explanation about the analysis and result. And in conclusion, online learning exists as our alternative for continuing education and learning. There was no significant difference in learning outcomes and student satisfaction levels from the two countries. Both shared that online student engagement was a stronger determinant of perceived student learning outcomes, because online classes lack physical socialization. And my opinion about this research article, that this research study is very good and is also needed to find out what are the actual factors that affect student learning outcomes. And the results of the study can also be used as a guide for teacher to identify and modify the learning used so that it can be balanced with the current condition. Okay, that's the main point that I have explained. If you have any comments or question, I will be happy to discuss with you. Thank you very much for your attention and time. Have a nice day and see you next time. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.